Previously, on part 1 of the solo raids for Tomb of Amascut, for normal mode 150 invocation, we unfortunately did not have a super restore and we had too much food, so we failed right at the end near Aka. Now, let's finish the job. This is part 2 of solo guide to raid 3 Tomb of Amascut for 150 invocation normal mode. Let's freeze the frame here because there's quite a few things I need to talk about before we dive right into this boss fight. The first one is that it has been 1 week since I made the first guide, and almost everything has changed with the meta in the better way. It's more efficient now. People have found out so many different new things that you can try at each of the different mini bosses. So what I've shown you in the first video is on day 3 of release, where people were still kind of confused. Now everyone knows exactly what to do. I will show you later in this video how I beat all of the mini bosses without using almost no food. I think I only used 1 brew maybe. That's how efficient it is now. However, because we have already seen how to do the 4 mini bosses, we're not going to start with that. That will be after we finish the Wardens, which is the final big boss, and that's right here. Also, I would like to give a shout out again to the Tomb of Amascut Discord. There's so many good people there with so much knowledge and this skill and intelligence. They basically have mapped out how to do everything already in just such a short time. And I'm a recipient and I also contribute to their Discord. So definitely check them out. I have linked them in the description below. Thank you for all the fans. I see you guys PMing me even in game. I love it. You guys also PM me in Discord. Keep doing that. Reach out to me. I will help you with things that you're stuck on. I will give you guides. I will even coach you if I have time. So with all that said, let's jump into mechanics. For those of you with keener eyes, you may have noticed my gear is different now. I have arm legs and my inventory looks different. What's going on here? Well, gear is a very important and big topic. We don't have time to cover it completely. In this guide, I want to focus on the mechanics. I did, however, make a gear video, which has been very popular, that describes pretty much the entire meta of Tribrid melee, range, and mage for this boss. Please check it out. The link is above, and let's jump into the mechanics. This first phase is called P1 Warden, or Phase 1 Warden. There's actually no Wardens yet, there's just the obelisk in the center. And what will happen is the obelisk will shoot these little balls to each of the Wardens on the side. You can't see it in my image, but they're there. And what happens is when the balls charge up the Wardens will do a special attack called UFO. It looks like UFO, floating pyramids, that hit everything under it. And after that, you'll get hit by 2 warps, a big warp and a small warp. So that was a lot to take in. Let's just demonstrate with what actually happens in the fight. Much easier to learn this way. To start the fight, you want to use your BGS to hit at least 30 damages because this warp has low defense, so you don't use Dragon Warhammer, but it can only lower the defense by 30. So here the first hit is not a 30, I'm going to have to spec again. And notice I also used an adrenaline potion, which means my spec only used 25% of the BGS spec bar instead of the 50. This is also important to not use up all of your special energy. You will need it for phase 2, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Notice also I did not pray anything except damage because the only damage you take from this phase are the little balls that you see right now charging up the Wardens and the small and the big ball at the end of the charging. Oh, and the UFOs. Sometime during this phase, you need to stand in the way of these little balls and take 3 damage every tick. Why are you doing this? Because you are disrupting the balance of the balls. If the balls all reach the Warden on both sides, the UFO attack will happen at the very same time and you will not be able to dodge it except for a very small safe spot that's very far away. We're going to talk about that later. So what I'm doing right now is I'm offsetting the UFOs so that one UFO attacks first and the other UFO attacks next. That way you can dodge both of them. Also, by choosing which side to block, I'm choosing currently, I believe, the west side? No, the east side, sorry. I'm choosing the east side. This will affect what mini bosses I face at the end of phase 3. if I were to choose the west side, I would get a different set of mini bosses. And we will see that, and I will mention that when we get there. All of this information is, of course, in the TOA Discord, and you can read about it at your own pace. For now, let's look at it live in action. Once you have finished BGS specking, you want to switch to blowpipe or anything that's fast attack damage, because your goal is to down this obelisk as soon as possible. Because them UFOs are coming. There it is, the red ones. Dodge the red ones, and now the yellow ones. Dodge the yellow ones. I was able to take only one take of damage because I did not block enough warps. So I'm going to go block some more warps now. However, at this point, I'm already starting to win. You can see the obelisk is dying. I'm going to go pick up my brew, and I'm going to continue DPSing because I know the next phase is coming out, which is I will get unavoidable damage from the Wardens through a big ball and a small ball. However, blowpipe strong. Look at that. I'm about to win. I do believe I can hit by a big ball. There it is. That big ball is unavoidable. Just take it up your X. Anyways, obelisk is dead. We have now officially entered into phase 2. Let's go. Oh my god. It's alive! Okay, the Warden is alive now, and he's gonna march at you menacingly. Let's freeze the frame right here, because there's quite a bit to talk about. Cool, so what do we see? We see the Warden has overhead prayers. Wow, and it's melee and ranged. This is always going to be the case if you block the east side. If you block the east side, this Warden comes alive. The Warden can only be damaged by mage for now, so switch to your mage gear. And here's something really important. Your mage accuracy determines your max hit. And your mage strength, of course. But your mage accuracy actually is the biggest factor in your mage hit. Because in the Warden phase, everything you do is almost always max hit, especially when he becomes a core. If this sounds confusing to you, you're not alone. There's a lot happening right now, and please read the guide. Yeah, I'm going to link it here. But besides that, let's also take a look at this red ball coming at me. Anything that's red is usually magic, so pray mage. The bottom line here is, regardless of whether you want to use magic or later on, ranged, not in this phase, you use ranged in this phase on the next part. You must, or not you must, you really should choose something that gives the most accuracy, because this phase 2 Warden seems to roll off of the magic or ranged accuracy when he becomes vulnerable to ranged. Also, let's refer back to the long guide. It's a wall of text, I'm sorry, but do read it. There's many different attacks, but you're essentially praying mage against the red, praying range against the gray skull, and then he has special attacks just like Chamber of Zerik's own, where he disables prayers, and you have to pray mage, magic, or melee. And also the obelisk in the center will do special attacks. That's essentially what this phase is all about. Let's run through it, because action always speaks louder than words. Alrighty, so we just kite him around and watch for the special attacks that he throws, pray accordingly. Also, the obelisk is starting to do stuff, you see that? And I believe he does a range attack here. Yep, I pray range. I misclicked. I'm not going to dodge this, so I'm dying. Drink ambrosia. Next, he throws a red sword. Pray melee, please. I think I misclicked or timed it wrong. So yeah, I'm planking. I'm gonna not dodge this. Get hit again by the obelisk. Yep. Boom, boom. This is a windmill attack in the full guide. I'm dying again. Oh my god. This chuck potions. Line chuck potions. Okay. Okay, finally, through all that messy stuff, we got him down to the first core stage. The core is when the Warden drops to his knees and his core comes out. His core is very vulnerable. Any attack you do to it will always be max hit. So pray piety, drink a adrenaline potion, use your awesome DDS from 2004, and do massive amounts of damage when you spec like 8 times, which is 16 hits total. Obviously, I don't have the full spec bar, so I won't spec the full, but you don't have enough time to spec all 8 times anyways. I believe I get all my specs in, and you'll see the massive amounts of damage that I do to the real Warden. Alright, time for some beautiful hits. Look at that. So beautiful to watch. I take him down to past half health, which is great, which means I should be able to two-phase this. This is a good time to freeze because we are now entering into the phase where he is vulnerable to ranged. Remember, he was vulnerable to mage, now he's vulnerable to ranged. Anyways, I have to switch to ACB and just shoot him down. If you have an F-bow, it will be a lot better. And it's the same thing, you just have to switch the attack style. That's really all it is. And again, it's based off of the accuracy. Okay, so in this second phase of P2 Wardens, there's some more special attacks by the Obelisk. Now we have these Ring of Lightning. As usual, just try to dodge them. And this phase really is similar to the previous one where you want to get him to be on his knees, with his core out exposed to your Dragon Dagger. Well, maybe this time not the Dragon Dagger. You don't have that many specs. Probably your main staff weapon. So, we are here. I was only able to get him down to, I believe, 33%. But you can tell that P2 really you just need practice. You just need to practice running around and dodging the Obelisk and praying against his attack. Similar to Zebek, actually. So I think just with enough practice, you should be able to get this. See, I'm already starting to be better. I'm doing the windmill a lot better. Okay, I say that, but then I think I failed again. But yeah, it is back to maged, by the way, if you haven't noticed. Not much more to say about this phase, I believe. You've seen everything now. It's all about just executing now. P3, the last phase of Wardens, which is coming up after I've done the core here, is going to be a lot more intense. But also, I'm a lot more practiced at it. You'll see. In phase 3, you're taken to a new arena. Now there's a Warden floating in the air, and he will always do a left, a right, and a left and right attack on the ground. If you were to stand to the right, he does the first one, and then to the left, he does the other one, and then right to the center, you can just move in this one tile back and forth. Watch. Left, right, center. The invocations that you can set can make this go faster. Actually, it is recommended to set the invocations to make it go faster, because when it's faster, you get into a better rhythm. For me, I have a crossbow. It's a 5-tick weapon, so I've made it into a 5-tick rhythm. If I were completely honest, the crossbow really is not that good here unless I spec. There are much better weapons like the F-bow. You can even melee. You can go right up to his face and melee using just 3 tiles in front of him, using a fang or even a rapier. So you have many options, but the core mechanic is the left, right, center dodge. Notice you don't even need to pray protection against anything, because the only attack is the ground floor attack. Now we have the first special in phase 3, which is these red warps. There's only currently 4, there will be a lot more next time. You have to kill the warps before the time is up, otherwise the warps will explode and do a lot of damage. No need to panic. Jagex put in a mechanics to help you kill all the warps fast. Warps can only be attacked with melee. You cannot range, you cannot mage it. And especially, the melee is 1 tick, so whatever weapon you use is 1 tick. You could actually use a scythe or even a god sword, and you can still 1 tick these. But I just choose whatever was in my inventory, which happened to be a DDS, and just kill all 4 of them. So I'm going to speed it up here because I just killed the warps and I go right back to that rhythm that I showed you earlier. Left, right, center. It's really easy once you know the 3 tiles that you need to stand on. You can mark them in Runelight if you want to. That will probably help. We're going to go to the next phase now because he's reached the HP threshold. Alligator's here. Do you remember this guy from the mini bosses? That's Mr. Zebek the Croc. He will always spawn with Baba the monkey on the other side. Baba's not here yet. I think Baba is just a slow monkey. And he will do the same kind of attack that he did to you in the mini boss rooms. So for Zebek, that will mean either a magic attack that's a ball or a range attack that's a rock. And you have plenty of time to pray against these. And then for Baba, I'll talk about Baba when Baba comes. And at the same time, the Warden will still be doing the ground attacks and also these warp attacks. So now it gets a little more interesting. You need to be praying, and you need to be killing warps, and running left, right, center. And right back to the rhythm. We are just going to DPS him down until the next threshold when Baba comes. And as you can see here, it is getting a little bit more hectic. I have to pray, I have to run in this specific way. It is really good to practice here, of course. I believe I start taking damage. And Baba's here, the monkey. He will only do the rock attack from the sky at you, but with so many things happening, it is very easy to not see it and just get hit for like a 40. But orb attack, yep, now we have like 3 or 4 things happening at the same time. I'm not sure why I'm playing ranged here. If you look at Zebek, he is still doing mage attacks on me. That's why I took so much damage. I'm not sure why I did it. I must have thought the boulders was the rocks. That's pretty... I think Bubba's boulders might have confused me with the rocks. But luckily, the alligator, Zebek, started using rock attacks soon. So I think I just lucked out here. It was also at this moment that I started panicking just a little bit. We got too much shit happening. Okay, there we go. Zebek did start using the rock. So luckily, I started blocking damage again from Zebek. That probably helped a lot. But I'm starting to take wall damage. Not wall damage. Floor damage. And now the last orb attack comes. And I started ranging it for some reason. Oh my god, just wasting ticks. Alright, go fast. 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, 4, 5. One more, 6. And nope, I took some orb damage. And it was at this moment that I knew I had to ambrosia. Help! But no, this is very nice. You get to see the most hectic phase, in my opinion. And you get to see all the mistakes I make, so that you can not make these mistakes when you do your run. Stay calm and stop DPSing. Look, I'm just running around now, trying to figure out my footing. You need to reset into the rhythm to survive here. Wow, if I didn't recover there, I probably lost the fight, to be honest. So now we can finally enter the last phase, the Enraged phase. The Enraged phase happens when the Warden is only 5% hit points. He'll get a big heal and the whole room starts breaking apart. You see those tiles flying up in the air. Now there are red lightning shooting down from the sky and you're still getting attacked by Zebek and Baba. So let's freeze the frame here and just point out a few things. First of all, you see the boulder is still coming from Baba. You see the shadows, which are the red lightning attacks in the room. And you see Croc still doing his mage or range attack. And also you see the room is getting smaller because the tiles are flying up. So there is a time limit. Eventually you'll run out of tiles and just lose. But let's just watch this to the end, boys. Let's see if Armadillo makes it today out of the tomb of Amascut. I'm taking damage literally every tick now. In this phase, you really need to just calm down and try to dodge. For me, I think I panicked just a little bit. I wanted to DPS and finish the fight because I still have food left and just kept chugging the potions. Shot. Surprisingly, I'm still praying correctly. I believe I did flick once when I saw ranged earlier, but yeah, just something in my mind is still telling me, Zebek, man, that freaking crocodile. Alright, but I think we are very close now. We have literally 3 brutoses, no hit points. Stats are still good because of all the overloads, and oh my god, we actually did it. This would be so much easier with a better weapon, like the F-bow, T-bow, Shadow, even Fang. Honestly, anything would have been better. ACB is not a great weapon for consistent damage. It's a great spec weapon. You do it to do damage and then you change to something else. I actually should just blow pipe. You know what? I probably should have blow piped. But I'll try that next time. And that's it, boys. We did it. I'll show you my invocations soon. And I just want to say something before we go loot the chest, guys. Well, actually, no, we're already here. Let's loot the chest first and I'll say my motivational speech. Keck. What do we get? Absolute dumpster trash, once again. But, you know, it's not much, but honest work. So, I know many of you out there will say, man, you suck at PvM. And I'm gonna agree with you. I do suck, boys. My clicks are terrible. I panic often. I'm old. I have kids. I actually have terrible stigmatism. I can't see clearly. Everything has a shadow to it. I don't know how to describe it. I see double of everything. So basically, I have disabled eyes, disabled hands, and I'm old. And I can still do this. You know why? Because knowledge is power. I know every detail of the mechanics of every single fight here. And I've pretty much memorized it. It's just the execution that I suck at. But that's okay. What I'm trying to tell everybody out there is, don't be afraid. Come and try it. Practice a few times. I think it took me about 4 tries to get this. You will get it. Keep trying. You will do it, kings. You just have to know what you're doing. Alright, let's go check the invocations now and talk about ending remarks. I'm not gonna include the details of the 4 mini bosses because this video is already long enough. Let's do that in the next video. Let's just go look at the invocation because that is still relevant. Okay, let's look at the invocations, and I'm going to freeze the frame here. First of all, we enable most of the invocations for Baba. Let's look at this one first. This one makes the ground attack, the shadows on the ground, bigger, but it actually makes it easier to dodge because it takes longer to proc. This next one makes the Indiana Jones phase, where the boulders come rolling down a bit faster. It's really not that bad once you get a hang of it. This next phase lets little monkeys in the final boss drop banana peels. I didn't even see it, so it's like free. And the last bubble one has something to do with the sarcophagus. Usually ignore that because it just doesn't happen, so it's free again. And then let's look at the one for the Wardens. It's actually better to look at this screenshot first so you know what they mean. But I enabled these two, but honestly you can enable almost all of them except Insanity and Ancient Haste. Because Ancient Haste makes it so that the obelisk in phase 1 will charge faster, which means you get hit with more unavoidable orb damage. It's very bad in solos. And the Insanity is just kind of insane. Haha. Yeah, it's pretty fast for the last phase, so it's going to be kind of hard. Let's look at the top of the page. We're still going to enable the software run because it is completely free 15 points. If you die twice, just reset the whole raid. You waste some time, too bad. Now, one big change. We have disabled Walk the Path. Remember, in part 1, we have enabled that, but remember, I only did it because I didn't know how bad it was. I made an update to it, I pinned some comments. We found out later in the community that Walk the Path is really hard. Don't do this until later on when you're really comfortable with everything. Lastly, let's move towards the middle. Remember previously in part 1, we did enable quiet prayers. What this does is, it says your prayer is 10% less effective. So if Zebek hits you a 20 but you pray correctly, you still take 2 damage. That adds up over time for each of the bosses and even the Warden fight. Remember, I survived this run with only 1 brew dose and 20 hit points. If I had this invocation active, I definitely would have failed. Next, let's look at Kafari. Kafari, these two are just completely free for solos. The first one is the little bugs. You just pray range the entire fight. I think you saw that in the first part of the video, so it's completely free. And then the second one, Blowing Mud, is also completely free in a solo. In fact, one of the new metas, or I wouldn't call it a meta, one of the new techniques that are different is that you can make it so that he only throws the down attack, which is this invocation, in one diagonal. Lastly, let's cover Zebek and Akka. Zebek has not changed from the first video, so I'm not even going to talk about it. It's just blood magic, very easy to dodge. Now for Akka, I did enable Double Trouble. What this one does is it's pretty free in solo, and you will see an example of this in the next video that I'm making that talks about all the new techniques. And all it does is when you're doing the memory attack, when you remember the 4 colors and you have to dodge the floor, you will have an additional special attack there, which is just the floor you're standing on will lit up. Just don't step on the same tower when you're moving. It's that easy. So again, pretty free 20 points. That actually covers all the invocations that you need to make 150. You might use something slightly different, and that is completely okay. Go with what's comfortable to you. If you're good at Walk the Path, re-enable that one and, be a boss. And this concludes part 2 of the solo guide for 150 invocation. Now that I can grind this, and you can grind this too, we now have the full loot table available to us, which includes the Form of Sori, the Shadow of Tumukin, sorry I keep saying Tukman, Shadow of Tukman, Shadow Tumukin, anyways, and the Ward of Elindis, and of course the Fang and the Rings still. So go out there and grind, everybody. You can do this. And if you're a complete beginner and you actually watch to the end like this, kudos to you. But there is a beginner's guide that is very noob friendly, and we all started as noobs, so go check that out. It'll help a lot. And of course, there's also the gear guide, which is the most commonly asked question. What gear should I bring? What gear should I upgrade? What gear should I switch? I've been asked that so many times in the Discord that I decided to make a video for it, and it became popular, so I'm happy for it as well. Check it out. And finally, thank you so much for the outpouring of support. My subscriber count has literally doubled in the past week. Not only am I exploring the raid by myself, trying out weird combinations and just dying a lot, I've also been talking to a lot of you, including ones in the Discord and outside, and just been trading ideas, and that is beautiful. A lot of the content in this video actually came from viewers who told me, hey, you could do this on this boss and you'll be more efficient. So we're learning from each other, and this is awesome. Now, of course, you guys are still not subscribed, but don't sweat it. If you like this video, great. If you want to subscribe, that would be awesome. I really appreciate it. If not, that is totally okay. I'm happy as long as you learn something and you are having fun. And the success and failure of my venture here of going full-time into video editing for old school Runescape, that is for God to decide. In conclusion, we have now finished essentially the full guide for a normal mode solo at 150 invocations, and actually using suboptimal gear. If you have max gear or even anything better than what I have, you will do this much easier. Look, I have freaking loaded potions and looting bags in my inventory. I go in with less food. My gear is maybe medium tier, so if you have better gear, you can do this. If you have worse gear, you can still do it. Just practice. You can do it. I'm gonna make a video using budget gear. That will be in the future. But also, don't forget, I'm also making a video about the technique updates to the 4 mini bosses. That one will probably be the next one. So stay tuned, everybody. Like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day. Get those purples, man, and make bank.